Just having a chill afternoon. Gonna wait for maybe some people to jump into the chat before kicking off, but basically today we're gonna look at this level that I've been building, in particular the train, the roads, and the sewer system. And I think the next thing I want to do is add like a baking step. So we'll get to more what that means shortly. But in the meantime, let me fix this music. It is way too loud. Oh, hey Delta. Oh, I think it's not muted. I think it's just very quiet. One sec. Is that louder? Here, let me also check the desktop decibels. Oof. Okie dokie. So, stuff I've still got to do on this level. I need to fill out this industrial area. I need to fill out this luxury area. I need to fill out this kind of like base here and connect it up with the chamber that's below it. I think right now I don't have any collision on the water, so you just fall through. Yeah, oops. So we need to fix that. Here, I'm gonna star disable enemy spawners, which will just make this a lot more chill when I hit play. But here, let's start writing this stuff down. So, collision underwater. Yeah, fill out luxury island. Fill out industrial island. Yeah, flesh out remote base. As that's like a communication space. I'm gonna give that like antennas and satellite dishes and things. Oh, I need to flesh out. Yeah, big tower. Which is, you know, this big tower in the middle. What else do we need to do? Bit tower. I also want to connect up this tower, like, right now, like, it's kind of hollow. I had it before where it's connected up in this sewer chamber that's right below it as well, so I want to connect it up with that sewer chamber. And then I've started expanding the sewers out in this direction. So, expand sewer system. I think maybe there could be like a ring, like a little bit of a maze section here that you would have to kind of zigzag through to then go to a chamber that's below this island. I don't know if it'll be possible to like have it such that maybe there's a one-way from like below this island up into like a big warehouse in this island, which you can see into but you can't enter from up here. So that'll like tease people and they'll have to find a new way in, and the way in is to do this like crazy descent level down here. And I need to redo navigation. I had all this hand-authored navigation before. Now I can like, navigation's all these regions that show where enemies can go. I need to set it up for all these tunnels, all these chambers, as well as have connections between like these sort of like flying areas and the openings of these sewer tunnels. I want to update it such that we don't have spawners for these jets. I might actually just remove these jet spawners for now. But instead what I want to do is have it such that the cruisers spawn jets. So there'll just always be a certain number of jets going around all these cruisers, and then as you shoot them down, it'll spawn more of them. So there's just like an infinite number of them until you destroy the cruiser. Oh, excuse me. Oh, I need to do this elevated train track. Echo elevated train track. I also need to model this train. Right now it's just a bunch of like hex shapes. So we need to model the train. There's also these bridges that I think needs to have more support geometry. So model bridge kit pieces. And then I also think some of these buildings, it would be cool if there was walkways between them, and then there were enemies on top of the walkways, but also you could fly under the walkways. So deco walkways between buildings. And then the last really obvious thing is just that, like, this transition from the water to the sewage is really abrupt. It's like, oh, why is it turning green all of a sudden? I think I need to update this shader such that it can read the tone from the vertex color of the mesh, so that it can be like, it can match this blue up here, but then by the time you get to here, it's green, so that when you come in here, you're like totally in sewage land. And maybe that's just because there's, like, I don't know, more sewage coming in to these tunnels from like pipes and stuff that I haven't put in yet. So I think there's also like sewer greebles, yeah, pipes, etc. I also think like buildings, on top of the buildings there should be like HVAC units and antennas and stuff. So I think also like building roof greebles. I made this kind of like square right here. I was thinking, I don't know, maybe there's like a statue or a fountain or something interesting right here. So fill in that like town square bit. It's also kind of nice that this is like an open area that like combat can happen. So maybe this is just like a little park and we just have some like grass and trees and stuff. I also think it's a little weird on the ground. Like, not the worst thing in the world, but like normally like the road goes right into the sidewalk and then the sidewalk goes right into the building. They don't just have this like gutter area. That's like not a normal thing. So I think I need like sidewalks. As well as like lampposts and cars. And then like a little more detailing on the terrain. Like right now these are just sort of flat plains. It's very functional, but it would be cool if there was something more interesting that I could do here. It might just be that I hid something. Wait, let me just reopen the level. It might just be that I need to tighten this boundary up a little bit, just so there isn't so much of this kind of like dead space. Can do it with stuff like that. But oh yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, my. Cool. And then the last thing, this is like more of a tech thing, is I need to support baking, yeah, deco to static meshes. So all of this, the terrain, the pipes, the roads, the sewage, these are all currently just like dynamic meshes, because you can edit them live in the level editor. But like dynamic meshes have some drawbacks. They're slower and less optimized than regular meshes. They load slower, and I don't actually think, I think these particular generated like dynamic mesh actors are editor only anyway, and so they're going to be stripped out in builds. So for all of those reasons and more, it's a good idea to basically do what I do with these buildings, which is that I have a dynamic mesh when I'm constructing the building, but then I have just like a, you know, stamp deco button, which converts it into, like, as you see here, like a generated like static mesh actor that like goes through the optimization pipeline and can have LODs generated for it and stuff. But you know, I can also do this thing where I'm like burp, unstamp, and then wait. Yeah, suddenly now you can see I've got the building generator that we can go in here and we can modify, right? And then stamp back out buildings again. But let me reload the level. I'm not doing building stuff right now. So, oh, excuse me. So I think really what I want is like 2 buttons in my little like level editing tools Swiss Army knife here, and one is just like bake out all the dynamic meshes to static meshes, and then another button which is delete all the static meshes and re-enable all the dynamic meshes so that I can switch between like build mode and like edit mode. So I think that's probably what I'm going to do this afternoon. This has been just kind of like a whirlwind tour of like the status of this city level. Oh, you know what? I don't think I ever posted to the Discord that I'm live right now. I should let people know. Hopefully that doesn't get picked up too much by the mic, but it's getting really stuffy in here. So I just opened up our sliding door. Cool. So anyway, looking at our big city checklist, let's do this. Let's do like baking decoration to meshes. So what are the steps there? Add bake/unbake buttons to my Swiss Army knife. Add function to gather all dynamic meshes and check if they're baked or not. Add bake function. Add trim function. Cool. So modifying this editor panel is the easiest thing in the world. Unreal has this thing called editor widgets that I've been using to build it, in which you have just this like totally WYSIWYG editor. So I can actually just copy, paste, 2 new buttons. We will call this one bake all dynamic, or let's just say bake all deco. And this one is, there's the text. We would say unbake all deco. So we'll call this one button _ bake all deco. we'll call this one button underscore unbake all deco. And then what you do is you just grab the button here. You'll see it lists all the events for each of the UI widgets. One of them is clicked. Burp. We do that. Now we have an event handler for clicking the bake button. Check click here. Burp. We have a button for clicking all the unbake. So now we come out here. We've got 2 new buttons. Great. So the idea is going to be, I'm not going to worry about selections or anything. I think it's just going to be like you click this bake all deco button and it will just go through all the active brushes, bake them out, deactivate them, plop the baked versions of the brushes in. We click unbake and it's just going to delete any baked decoration and it is going to reactivate any of these dynamic brushes. So, how do we gather it? So there's like a bunch of different types. There's the terrain is like a dynamic mesh. There's chambers, which are these like interior rooms. There is roads, there is tunnels, and there is streams. I think that's, at least for the moment, all the dynamic meshes. But they all subtype dynamic generated mesh. But I think I want to be a little more specific than that because I think I might want other dynamic generated meshes that aren't part of this system. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into code and I'm going to give all of these objects like a common ancestor, like a common base type. And then I'm going to gather them by just going through all the objects in the scene and grabbing anybody who matches that base type. So that's a code change. So we need to pop out of the engine and go back to our programming environment. And so here I'm going to look up, like I have deco.util is a file that's in my level editor module. So I'm going to open it in Explorer. That gives me like this folder where all my level editor files are. So I can make 2 new files in here. I'm going to call one like deco brush. Like, I'm trying to think of what my name for these dynamic meshes are. Like, brush is usually what you call a mesh that's part of like constructive solid geometry. I could just call it like deco base as well. I don't want to confuse, like the buildings are a little bit different system than this because I don't keep those, I handle them a little bit differently. So I don't want to confuse, like, because I've already got like deco building, which is not going to share this base type. Deco is short for decoration, by the way. Let's call it like baked deco base. Or maybe deco I need to come up, like bake is used to describe other things in Unreal. I think I just need to come up with like a, this is the dumbest thing. There's a joke that like the hardest things in computer science are caching and what to name things. Here, let's just go to the thesaurus. Bake. Synonyms. Okay. Heat, melt, simmer, stew, warm. That's not what we want. Let's say build. Build. Let's see. Automate. Mechanize, motorize. Industrialize. Cook. No, that's not it. There's so much of this. I'm going to use, actually, I'm going to say deco proxy. Because these are like when they're, I think like when they're in the world and like you're actively editing them, they're like a proxy for what is going to be in the actual build. They're not the object that's going to be in the actual build. So like proxy kind of makes sense. I'll stick with it. So let me open up. Sorry if I'm always like going to the side of the camera here. I've kind of covered up my computer screen a little bit. So I need to like look around my smaller monitor to see my bigger monitor. Cool, so I've added those to version control. One cool thing about this code editor that I'm using, which is called JetBrains Rider, is that you can open up Unreal projects directly and it will auto-detect things like if you added or removed a source file. So now I can type in deco proxy and you can see it's already been added to the project. So here, let's close all but this. And then let's look at, there's deco road. That's the like road generator. There's deco island. That's the terrain generator. There's deco tunnel. That's the tunnel generator. And then there's deco stream. This is the sewage stream generator. Excuse me. And I think the chamber was just defined entirely in Blueprint. So we won't be fixing that in code, but we will fix that back in the level editor. So I think like stream, tunnel, and road all have this common base class, which is deco network. Because they're all built out of like basically junctions that are connected together with paths, right? You know, they do different stuff with that network data, but they all have the same base type. So you see this is a generated dynamic mesh, this is a generated dynamic mesh. We just want to rebase them on proxy, and we'll make proxy a generated dynamic mesh. Deco proxy.generated.h, that's a little boilerplate you have to do to include Unreal's runtime type information. And we're going to make an abstract class. That means this is like an object that is like a meta object that like other objects relate to, but it's not one, like you can't actually drag a deco proxy into the world. That's what this abstract means. A deco proxy is a public, a generated dynamic mesh actor, generated body, and then it could be a default constructor just in case. Public, your properties, you should have a property which is like edit anywhere, blueprint, read write, category equals deco, and this is a actor pointer, which is baked actor. So basically each of the dynamic meshes will be in the world. When you bake them, it will create another object that's the baked version of the proxy, and the proxy is going to point at that. And then when we unbake, we can list all the proxies again. We'll see any proxy that's pointed at a bake, we just nuke the bake, and then we reactivate the proxy. So then we'll add some functions in here. Blueprint callable, deactivate, deco proxy, activate deco proxy. Actually, I don't know if we need those in here. I think it's enough to basically just have this pointer. So now let's come in here. Let's just fill in this default constructor. Editor only actor is true. This just means when you do a build, strip this out. So even though there's going to be a lot of editor proxy objects in the level, when we do a build, they're all going to be removed from the level, and that will just leave the baked meshes behind. Ed Moon Detour says hello, just stopping by to see what you're up to. Basically, you missed the fun part. A moment ago I was testing the level. Maybe I'll get back to that shortly. But in the meantime, I have all these dynamic meshes in the level, and I'm making a system to basically bake those all out and disable them. And then another button to delete all the bakes and then re-enable them, so you can go into like edit mode, change all the meshes around, hit the bake button. Now you have just static meshes that get optimized by the baker and put in the pack file and stuff. So deco proxy or decoration proxy is now my base type for anything that can be baked out. So I want to go to deco island here. I want to rebase you on deco proxy. Why did you add .h.h? That was weird. And then also this decoration network, which is the base type for tunnels, roads, and sewage streams. You're going to be a deco proxy as well. Bada bing. Don't need that old header anymore. I actually want to reorder these a bit. So now I'm just going to do a build real quick. So because I was just replacing, I was just like inserting a base type, I wasn't actually changing anybody's base type. Like there shouldn't be any issues. Like my expectation is that I just open up the scene and everything works. So just gotta wait for everything to compile and then we can confirm that. Engine's now launching, so we'll have to wait a sec. You can see, look at all those logs. Look at everything it's doing. Great. So here we're back in here. We added this base type, and because it was just an insertion of a base type and I didn't change anybody's like actual base type, like they're still all generated meshes, everything still looks okay. So now let's go back to our like Swiss Army knife here. EUW, I like building menu. So now when I say bake all deco or when I say unbake all deco, we're just going to like get all actors of class, and that class is deco proxy, which is, you can see, that's the new class that we just made. I can actually bounce out here and show you, right? Like we made a class called deco proxy. We told Unreal to be aware of it, and here we are, Unreal's aware of it. And then for now, just what I'm going to do is when you click this button, I'm just going to get all the deco proxies and print out their names, just to make sure that we've actually captured them all. So actor label. This is weird. This is a thing that confused me at first that I just recently found out. These names that you see here in the outliner for all the actors, those aren't actually the names of the actors. Those are the labels of the actors. So you have to say get actor label if you want to get the string that matches this. A difference between the names and the labels are that labels don't need to be unique, but names do. So two actors can have the same label but different names. I don't know why. That's the way they set it up. And then we're just going to say print string. I think I can just say print string in the editor, and I think it will show up in like the top left-hand corner. So let's compile this. Let's come out here. I don't see it. Is it coming up in our output log? Oh, it is coming up in our output log. Okay, so I guess print string is just coming out down here. So here, let's start with, before we loop through them, we'll say format text. I found n objects, and the number of objects is the length of this array. So we'll print that first. Let me just, this has all gotten really gross really quickly. I hate Blueprint for that reason. I wish there was a way to be faster about it, but usually what I do is like basically hook up all these sort of white arrow connections vertically, and then this just looks like code. There. So you can see what this new like editor automation script is doing is we're going to get all the actors who subtype deco proxy, like they are of this kind. We're going to print out how many of them we found, and then we're going to print out all of their labels. So I say bake, and then we go to the output log here, and it says I found 16 objects. So there's island, island 2, island 3, and island with plateau. So I think this is island, island 2, island 3, and the island with the plateau in the middle. There's the road. There are 6 sewage streams, and there are 5 sewer tunnels. And there's also the main tunnel, which is just this road tunnel which goes underneath the plateau in the middle of the city. So it has, oh, what happened? Wait, let me, oh, you know what? I need to, when I change this base type, I think it actually set this to be editor only, because that had never been overridden. There we go. There. See, you can, this is a thing you can do in Unreal. There's the G key on your keyboard. Oh, I've got to do it for these guys as well. But what the G key does is it is like game view. So editor only. Is editor only actor. Boop, boop, boop. There we go. So what the G key does is it's like game view. It's like hide all the objects that aren't actually visible in game, which includes both like game objects that are just like invisible, like regions, but it also includes like editor only helper actors that are stripped out in builds. So I had accidentally defaulted all these guys to be strip out in build. I actually only want them to have that state when you've deactivated them. When they're activated, you should still be able to see it, which is basically just to handle this case. Oh, whoops. Let me turn off all the enemy spawners so I don't immediately get killed. But, so you can see here, like, I can see the road, I can, like, collide with the train and stuff. This is just using those dynamic meshes directly, and you can see, like, you can see them because they're not flagged as editor-only actors. But once I flag them as editor-only actors, right, what's going to happen is they're, like, once I hit play, you're not going to be able to see them anymore. But that's going to be fine, because we're going to have cooked them out to dynamic meshes by that point. So now let's write a baking function. So we'll just do that in the script here, where we're just going to say bake out deco proxy So the input to this is a deco proxy. We'll call you in proxy. And then we're going to have another function. I'll just duplicate this, and then we'll say unbake in deco proxy. So when we bake out the deco proxy, for now all I'm going to just say is like set actor, what would we say here? Set editor only. See, that's what's annoying. Is it... Let's look in the code. Is that not a variable that I can set from Blueprint? Let's see, actor.h. Actually, let's just go to the aActor class. You should have a field called bEditor. B is editor only actor. Edit anywhere, advanced display, but it is not Blueprint read write. So is there a set editor we have here? Is editor only. So there actually isn't a Blueprint method to set it. This is what I was thinking. So I think I need to do this from C++. So let's add a function, Blueprint callable, void. We'll say set proxy baked. We'll pass in your baked actor. And down here we'll just say void bake out proxy. Maybe, I don't know. Set baked. Here, we'll say set proxy baked, just so it doesn't maybe overlap with, it seems like something else might be called set baked. And we'll say clear proxy baked. That doesn't need to take any arguments. So what we're doing here is when we're setting you as baked, we're saying B is editor only actor is true. When we're clearing baked, we're saying is editor only actor is false. Oh, I need to put in the right namespace. And then additionally, we want to say set actor hidden in game true. What does this modify? Is this modifying a set hidden update component visibility? Okay, yeah. So set actor hidden in game true, set actor hidden in game false, set actor enable collision true. Or no, we want this to be false. And then set actor enable collision true. Let me just check what happens here. It's setting B actor enable collision, which looks to be a... That's weird, I didn't know you could have a private U property. It's not transient though, so I think this is actually saved. We can confirm that. Anyway. I'm also tempted, I'm going to throw this in here to avoid begin play. Oop. Like, I'm tempted to just say, like, if you enter a scene and if baked actor is not equal to null, then just destroy. It's just immediately remove yourself from the level if I'm not using you. Just have one less thing hanging around to confuse things. I don't know if I need this or not. I might comment this out later. Might be like unnecessary with this other stuff, but. And then also, we're going to want to set baked actors in baked actor. And then here we're also going to want to say like if baked actor destroy baked actor is null. Cool. I'm just building right now. Sorry I wasn't talking. I forget some stuff isn't communicated on stream. Oh wait, no, I'm not building right now because the engine was already open. I needed to close it. Whoops. Wait for these buttons to change. Boop. And I whack F5. Now we're rebuilding. Uh-oh. Oh, right. You're not allowed to have that qualifier on an implementation. Waiting for everything to open up. Here we go. Just disable enemy spawners. Now, let's go to UW building. Let's go to our bakeout deco proxy. Set proxy baked, unbake. We want to set proxy. Oh, clear proxy baked. But also what we want to do here now is we want to actually generate this actor. I could have done that all in C++, but it's like generating these meshes is a little finicky. And I kind of like having sort of the freedom to noodle around a little bit with that, which is why I didn't like put it in this function. But basically, we know this proxy has a generated as a like yeah, it has this dynamic mesh component, and we can get dynamic mesh. You can check that that's valid. I don't know why it would be invalid, but we don't want to crash the program by going forward with an invalid mesh. Now if it is valid, what we're going to want to do is, here, I've actually got, I have the stamp deco. This was the function that stamps out a building. So let's see everything that it did. We got asset tools. We created a unique asset name, which was just level_actor. Why did I say get display name? Anyway, I'm going to be copying all of this. We're going to set, looks like an asset path. We're going to create an asset. We're going to cast it to a static mesh. We're going to set that as the mesh asset. And then we're going to be doing stuff below here. So let's paste all this in here. All right, I can cool. So we can noodle into here. Now it will complain that these local variables, create local variable asset path, create local variable mesh asset, compile. Now those are happy. And then instead of in deco, we want get in proxy. So we're going to generate a unique asset path. We're going to save that. We're going to actually create a static mesh asset. We're going to verify that it's a static mesh. We're going to save that. And then let's look back at stamp deco, see what that was doing. So then it calls this like do stamp static mesh, in which we call this copy mesh to static mesh method. So let's just do that in here. Let's grab this thing that we did for getting the mesh asset. We can actually do this up top. So first things first, we're going to come in here, promote to local variable. We'll call this in dynamic mesh. And way down here, so from dynamic mesh, get in dynamic mesh to static mesh asset. I'm going to say get mesh asset. We don't want to recompute normals. I don't think I've been setting tangents, but I don't think I want to do that. I don't want to remove, I don't think I want to remove degenerate. I don't know, we'll think about that. Use build scale, replace materials, new materials. Am I able to get material here? I think this will be a little easier to write in C++. I want to write a function on this proxy just to get the materials as an array. So we're going to say blueprint pure t array u material interface pointer get proxy materials. T array u material interface instance result, return result, result, set num to get dynamic mesh component, get material. Wait, get materials? Is this? Oh, there's already a get materials function. Is this exposed to blueprints? Blueprint callable. Oh, that's weird. Okay. Well, we're just using that then. Didn't need to write it. Somebody else already wrote this function for me. So basically, when we generate the mesh asset, we're also going to instruct it to override the default materials on the mesh asset with the current materials on the decoration editor proxy. That way, when it gets placed into the world, I don't have to immediately override the materials because it won't just have like a gray default material on it. UW building. Where's my mouse pointer? There it is. So according to this, there should just be get materials. There it is. So, zoop. There's those materials. Let's see. Deprecated, edit settings, emit transaction, defer, post edit change, target LOD. Okay, so that's interesting. I could be able to do different LODs. But anyway, so this one we're going to copy the mesh in here. It's kind of obnoxious. I would like... Is there no collision options? Okay, well here, we'll just see if the static mesh set collision. I have get collision complexity. Like that, but there's no like set collision complexity. Well, let's look back at deco building. So what was happening was, wait, no, this isn't the one I wanted. So that just called that function. That was do stamp static mesh, do compute collision, set static mesh collision from mesh. Okay, let's try that. So set static mesh collision. Why is that not working? Okay, let's go back. Let's just copy paste this. Copy, paste. Success, burp. Dynamic mesh, burp. Mesh asset, burp. Method. I don't actually want, what is this? Set simple collision, set static mesh collision from mesh. This is the same function, right? Yeah. Method, aligned boxes, oriented boxes, minimal sphere. So this is just gonna set collision shapes. I just want to use the mesh. See, what happens is when you have a mesh, I'll open up a mesh here. The buildings actually generate collision shapes. You can see when I say player collision, it has a simpler collision shape than its render geometry. But if you search complexity, you can see there is this option for use complex collision as simple. And what that means is you're just going to use the render geo as the collision, which is what I want to do for like all of these like complex shapes. like the inner chamber and the terrain that has holes in it, and like these twisty-turny, whatchamacallits, like tunnels and roads and things. So let me just search, see if there's a function. Collision complexity. Set collision complexity, data prep operations library. That's weird. What does this do? Some plugin, but it does something to get a bunch of selected static meshes, and then for each one, that's collision trace flag. Yeah, that's the thing I want. So it's going through each one. It's getting the body setup, and then it's setting the trace flag in that body setup. I wonder if that is exposed to Blueprint. Let's find out. So if I have this mesh asset, can I say get body setup? Context sensitive. No, I can't. So I think this is something, I'm just going to write this into my C++ code, I guess. So now I really do have to shut this down. But here we're going to write a function void set mesh collision complexity. Actually, I'm just going to say apply mesh collision complexity. And here we're going to say if auto body setup equals in mesh get body setup. Body setup. What did data prep do? Collision trace flag is an E collision trace flag. Use complex as simple. Great. And then there was something else that thing was doing. I think it was like marking it as dirty or something. Scoped static mesh edit. What does this scoped static mesh edit do? Okay, it's doing a thing that's unnecessary for us. All we care about is that we're modifying this dingus. Cool. So this is just a little bit of code that for whatever reason, Blueprint doesn't let you just do it. So we're gonna bind over a little helper function from C++ to do it for us. This is kind of like the sad reality of like making tools in Unreal that's like a little unorthodox, is that you just constantly find like the API is a little incomplete. But because it's source available, you can just patch in the C++ code you need. So now, if we open up our Swiss Army knife again, we now have in proxy apply mesh complexity to this mesh asset. Bada bing. So what does stamp do next? It's simply spawning an actor from a class. We can do that. The class we just want is static mesh actor. And the location, I'm just going to match the proxy. So get actor transform. Split struct pin. I'm not worrying about scale because I'm not scaling any of these proxies. And after we spawn it, we're saving it to a remote to local variable. We're going to call you baked out actor. We're going to set your static mesh. Set static mesh of your built-in static mesh component to our new mesh asset. So let's see. We stamped it out, we computed the collision, spawned the actor, set the static mesh. In the case of buildings, I set a DNA string on them. These work a little bit differently. We don't have DNA strings, so we don't need to worry about that. But I do actually want to just like tag this as like baked deco proxy, just so that I know. Just there's like a little tag on it if I'm like inspecting assets, or if like the data gets damaged for some reason. I've got like a little stamp on here which is like, hey, by the way, this is a baked deco proxy. And then the last thing that I did was I saved the asset to that asset path. Cool. So let's just review everything that this little automation script is doing. We're getting the dynamic mesh from our proxy, checking it's valid, saving it. We're getting like the asset tools module, which is like a little helper object that lets you work with assets in Unreal. We're asking that to give us a unique asset name, and our hint for the name is that we just want to concatenate the level name and the actor name. We're going to save that path out. We're going to create an asset at that path within this folder, game environment deco generated, and it's a new static mesh asset. We're verifying that it's a static mesh asset, saving a pointer to it. We are copying the dynamic geometry into the static mesh asset. We are also copying the components material into the static mesh default materials. We're using this little function that we added to instruct the new static mesh to use its render geometry as collision. We are spawning an actor in the world at the same location as the proxy. We are setting our new generated mesh as the static mesh on that static mesh actor. I'm tagging it, I'm saving it, and then, oh, the other thing I needed to do was we added that method to the proxy here, which is like set proxy baked, get baked out actor. So now, here we go, get baked out actor. So now, the very last thing we do is we update our proxy. We like disable the proxy and have it save a reference to the actor that it baked out so that we know where it came from. We might also tag it with the name just so we can find it even if this reference gets broken, but I'm going to leave it as is for now. And then for unbaked, get baked out actor, convert to validated get. If you have a baked out actor, or actually this just already destroys it, so we don't need to do anything. So cool. Moment of truth. Here we go. What should happen when I click that button is that all of these meshes, actually, I'm also, like, when I bake you out, just to be extra sure, set visibility make you not visible, and then in unbake, make your component visible again. So what should happen is all the tunnels, all the roads, all the sludge, all the chambers, all the islands. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Yeah, right. Chamber. This is just a generated dynamic mesh actor. We actually want to reparent you to be a deco proxy. Turn that off for now. And there's another mesh that I forgot, which is the water surface here. The water surface is a generated mesh because it cuts out the shape of the islands, so that, like, when we go into these sewer tunnels, they don't have to also, like, cut a hole in the water. So here, let me grab this actor as well. Your currently generated mesh, so we can simply reparent you onto our new deco proxy. Let's check to make sure you're not editor only by default. Check you out as well. Check you out. Great. So now, the island, the tunnels, the sludge, the roads, the water, the underground chambers, these should all be replaced by static mesh assets. That's what should happen, according to the theory of what I built. What's probably actually going to happen is that I made a mistake somewhere and the game, the editor is going to crash. So let's just go in here. Let's click the button. Nothing happened. Oh, you know what? We wrote these new bake and unbake, but I don't think I actually connected the buttons to those new functions. Yeah, whoops, okay, whoops, okay. Nope, this was for each bake out deco proxy. And then for the unbake, it starts the same way. We get all those deco proxies, but then we unbake deco proxy. Okay. Nothing happened because the button was not plugged into anything, but now the buttons are plugged into these big dangerous functions. So, let's test it. Let's figure it out. Here, wait. Let's save the level first. I'm going to click the save button like a million times first. Make sure this is all definitely saved before we click this button. And go. Okay, it's thinking. Some stuff is happening. Something's going on. The button is still depressed. Something is still happening. I'm seeing dialogues pop up and down. That's promising. That seems like something's happening. How long should we wait? How long do you think this should take? I feel like it should be done by now. Computers are fast. Okay. Whoa. What? Yo. Static mesh actor. Static mesh actor. Static mesh actor. Static mesh actor. This one? Static mesh. Static mesh. This one? Static mesh. Okay. Let's... I'm just gonna hover over this island, and actually let's disable enemy spawners. We don't want to go crazy. I'm gonna hit play, and if the collision was applied successfully, I will land on this island. If it was not applied successfully, I will fall through the island, and we will fall into infinity. It worked! Yo! Let's see, can I fly down here? Well, I'm not very good at flying. Yo! And like if I follow these into here, yeah, here's all the new mesh assets that were created. So like here's the water plane with all the stuff cut out of it. Great. Here's like, let's look at some of this other stuff. Here was like the road baked out to a mesh. Yo, this is awesome. Okay, okay, nice, nice, nice. Now let's see if we can go the other way. So to go the other way, we just click this unbake all deco dingus. Because like I should be able to go in here actually and say like deco tunnel, sewer tunnel S. Here it is. It's hidden. And if I search bake, it has a reference to this baked out actor. It's kind of annoying that these actors just have random names like I am static mesh 22. I should see if there's a way to name the actors that I generate. That would be great. But in the meantime, because I mean these are all just named like, okay, this name's like building 2, building, okay. Well, I guess it's because they're a special type BP building. Anyway, let's see how this unbake works. So I should click this and all those new static mesh actors should go away and all the dynamic meshes should come back. So I click it and what happened? Did nothing happen? Oh no, this is Deco Island with plateau. Okay, 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 okay. So if I type static mesh, yeah, there's no, all those static meshes are gone. And this is the, yeah, these are the dynamic meshes again. Man, it turns out I was overly pessimistic when I thought that this wouldn't work. Oh, you know what, though? I just remembered, there's this BP Deco Water 2. Is this still just like Deco Water? No, this, oh yeah, this is water as well. That's, okay. Cool, so that got, yeah, that got, wait, did that get Deco Water 2, Deco Water 3? Oh yeah, those got spit out as well. I forgot that I needed these sludge pools to be proxies as well because I can control, I use the dynamic mesh to control their radius. But it turns out they just work as well. Dude, that's so cool. It's insane that that worked. I don't like that those actors didn't get named, so let's see if we can name those actors. See, bake out deco proxy. Oh, I didn't even need to do this like set visibility thing. Oh, get out of there. I didn't need to do that, but I'll rope it in anyway. But let's see. Okay, we spawn the actor from the class. Set name? Set actor label. Hell yeah. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We're going to say get actor label. Then here we're going to say format text. We're going to say source label underscore baked. The source label is a yep, and you are yep. So here, we're going to take the name of the proxy, we're going to add underscore baked to its name, and we're going to set that as the label on the new actor. So actually, this gets set here, and then we can just say get baked out actor. Hook that in. Are we listening to like lo-fi Sailor Moon? Okay, this is the last test. I'm going to click the big bake button. So now what I want to see is if whatchamacallit, like not only are they all baked out, but they're named correctly, and that these new files that were created the last time we baked get replaced, as opposed to me just like accumulating a million files. I do have this like delete unused generated assets. This basically just goes through this whole folder and finds anybody who isn't like actually placed in a level and just deletes it. So we're not at risk of like accumulating garbage in this folder, but I would like, if I rebake something, for it to reuse the same static mesh file. So I'm gonna click it again, right? Gonna do a big save first. Bake all deco. Look at it go. It's gotten all 16 or 24 or whatever meshes that need to get baked out. They're all being baked. I think I might do a thing where, like, if there's a selection, that I just use what's in the selection. That might make it easier to do like quick tests, but let's see. Cool, we baked everything out. Now this actor is called BP Deco Island with Plateau 2 _ baked. And when I go to the asset, it's the exact same asset as from before. Notice also, because we created these asset with the asset tool options, rather than making these files manually, it automatically like added them to Perforce and registered them with the content browser and everything. So now I should be able to save. I can hit play. We're cruising around. Awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome. This is awesome, 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 awesome. Okay, so I think the last test on whether everything is baked properly. Here, let's actually go to the outliner and verify that, here, let's look at Deco Water, for instance. So Deco Water here, if I search editor only, yes, this was tagged as an editor only actor. So now let's do the final test, which is that if I do an actual build of the game, the build should just work. So let's go to, I think it's editor preferences is where you have the, where is it? It's either editor preferences or project settings. Project settings, maps and modes. Let's see, game default map. I have it going to this green room map, but let's change it to Newport. There may be other reasons why the game doesn't build, so, you know, hold on to our hats. This might not work, but there should be actually a, here, let's actually just go out to our text editor. Default, what is this? Default engine.ini. Should be a list of maps. Is it in default engine or is it in default editor? Default game. Is this one that has the map list? Yeah, here it is. So maps to cook, Green Room Gym, Newport City Gym. Here, we're just gonna cook the Newport City Gym. So let's just see. If I go out here and we say, wait, I think this moved in Unreal 5, but build, no, we want to go to, where is the Windows package project? Let's package the project. Put it in the build folder. Okay, let's see what happens. Let's see if we can build this level. Okay, first things first, it needs to compile some code. So when you do a build, it's going to go through, it's going to compile some code, it's going to link it with the pre-compiled engine code. That'll give us our program. And then the content, which is everything in this level, is going to be cooked and exported, which involves stripping out all those dynamic meshes, because those are only relevant in the level editor. They're not relevant in the game. So since I've baked everything out, since everything is just like a buildable asset, doing the build here, we should get some things working. But we got a fail. What did we get a fail on? Deco util 216. Deco util 259. Oh, you know what? That was some editor code that I put in the wrong place. Yeah, I don't need this. All this DNA string stuff needs to be moved to the editor. But for now, I'm just going to say like pound if with editor, yada, 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 else, return f string. So what else was it complaining about? 216 and 259. Yeah, set properties from JSON. It's the same thing. I can go through later when I'm not on stream and clean this up so that I don't really have all this editor code in the game. But now, let's try this again. Windows, package project, build folder, show output log. Let's try it again. So all I did was basically say, hey, any like editor code that I wrote in the game, just skip it when you're compiling the game. Like, you're not going to need it. Don't worry about it. It shouldn't be in the game. There's like I actually have two separate modules. I just need to move it to the other module. That's just like an annoying refactoring thing. Allow. Cool. Okay, so we've code compiles. There's no more editor code in the game. So now we are cooking. So if there's a problem with the way that these assets were created, then this cook step is going to fail here. Hopefully it doesn't, and I can just click like an exe file and we'll see the game, and that will be a triumphant end to the stream. If it doesn't, at least that'll be like a learning experience, and I can explain based on reading the log what I think is wrong, if it's fixable or if it's something I'm going to do after the stream. But you know, that's good too. Part of the point of these streams and having it up in the archive is for like other people using Unreal who might run into the same problem, to like benefit from like other people running into the problem and fixing it. So what's happening? So clearing all cooked content for platform windows. Sandbox took 0.04 seconds. Skip only, editor only is enabled, and still save packages. Okay, whatever. So something's happening. I think yeah. I mean, this level doesn't have anything crazy going on in it. I don't imagine that it would take that long to cook. I think maybe we'll just be here for like maybe a few minutes. You know, if this is like a whole ass game, if I had like 50 levels, you know, then maybe it would take 10-15 minutes, and this wouldn't be great streaming content to literally just stare at a build script. But yeah, let me see, is anybody actually in the chat? Oh, it's just me and Catherine. So I was gonna say if anybody had any questions. Yeah, let me check. We're still listening to Twitch safe music, right? Supposedly so. Cool. Okay, wait, something's going on here. Okay. Let's see what it says. Display worker finished with 10 jobs. Wow, 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 wow. Okay, so a bunch of stuff is cooking. Oh, I've got 29 worker threads. Currently 2 out of 29 build workers have finished. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Reading a bunch of warnings. Probably all my VFX are really janky, so I think they're all producing warnings. I need to go and look at that. But all my materials are being built. This is just being built for Shader Model 5, which is like just sort of like a generic like Windows rendering. Let's see, what's happening? Okay, so now you can see it's saying building static mesh, and it's going through all of these like Newport City Gym __ things. So these are all the generated meshes. So it's going through and it's like optimizing them so they'll render faster in the game. It is going through a bunch of shaders. It's pre-processing a bunch of textures right now. Okay, some more workers have finished. Cooked packages. Okay. Looks like we've cooked 250 out of about 1,500 packages. A package is like a file. All the individual asset files are being like pre-processed. They're having all their editor data stripped out of them. All their runtime data is being aggressively optimized, right? It's like spending a lot of CPU time now so that players don't have to. And then it's creating a bunch of artifacts. They're all just going to be compressed together in a pack file. And then when you play it on Steam Deck or whatever, that pack file just like loads in, and everything loads in really quickly because it's all been pre-processed. So all that pre-processing, that's what's happening right now. It's going. What exciting content this is, folks. Let's see. Okay, I see, I read this wrong. We've cooked 1,300 packages. We have about 200 packages left for a total of 1,500 packages. So we're actually, we're like 80% of the way through this build. Okay, you see here, these are stats. Like a lot of this gets printed out. If you look at this, like this is saved out to a text file. You can read it later and you can get like a big report of like all the shit that got put into your game. In case you're trying to like optimize, like, hey, I want my game to be smaller. What's in there? Where are all the bytes? Where can I trim stuff from? So it's still going. I wonder, I'm gonna have to check to make sure that light baking isn't happening. I mean, it shouldn't be happening because I think I set all my lights to be dynamic, but if I missed one, it might be light baking right now. Okay, we're gone. 131 packages left. We're like 90% of the way done. It's just chugging through. It's chugging through. Okay, less than 100 packages left. We got like 5% of this cook left. 90 left. 89 left. I think at this point it's basically just compressing them. Like I think it's like when you zip up a bunch of files. I think that's what the build is doing right now. I could be wrong, I don't know. But it's not reporting anything about assets anymore. It's just saying that it's processing a package, which the only thing that could mean is compression. I'm pretty sure Unreal now by default uses OODLE compression, in case you're curious, which is from the RAD game tools. I think it's like an algorithm that RIG designed. Okay, here we go. Okay. Build successful. Packaging complete. Great. Now there's the final test, which is if I open up File Explorer and we go to the build folder. We go to, what is today? Today is 9/13, Friday the 13th. Okay, Windows. This is the new build it made. Let's open this up. Oh, it opened on the wrong screen. Here, we'll move it onto this screen. Look at that! Look at that! Look at that! The road works, the train works, there's a ton of stuff happening. I can fly down into here, into the sewers. I can go through here. Oh, I don't know what's up with that. I don't like this. That's kind of weird. But then we come down yonder, and these guys are going. Incredible. Oh, escape is just restarting this scene, isn't it? Do I have to Alt F4? Yeah. But we're good. We're good. Would you believe that prior to doing this little process, I wasn't actually able to make a build for the past month or so, and it's been driving me crazy. So now we have the ability to come into a level. I can click this new button that we added called Unbake All Deco, and bada bing, it replaces all the meshes in the scene with these dynamic meshes that I'm able to like actually grab and edit. Oh, whoa, what is this? Oh yeah, that makes sense. And and then when I got it the way that I like it, like I got the train the way I like it, I got the chambers the way that I like it, and I've got all the like tunnels and roads the way I like it. We can click bake again. Once everything's baked, I can actually package and build the project. And probably I can do like a cook time hook that's like, hey, if there's any unbaked stuff, just like bake it as part of the build. So I shouldn't need to like manually click this button, but it is good to be able to like manually click it and just see what it looks like without having to do a whole build and then just like checking the build. But also it's nice to be able to say like, hey, I'm done with this level. I'm going to bake it, click that button, let it do its business. And then like basically anybody else who tests this level, they don't need to rebake it. We've just saved out the baked results. So here, I forgot this is going to take a long time to go, but I also just realized like I was kind of like crashing into some things unexpectedly. You may not have noticed when I was in the game. That's curious. Are these Deco Island with plateau? Should not be visible. Okay, whatever. But I also noticed that these new actors that are created, I never actually set their collision profiles. Whoopsie. So I think I actually need to copy over the collision profiles. Like, is this water collision? Is this ground collision? Is there no collision? So let's actually go back to our script here. We like create this asset, we like tag it and everything, but what we also want to do is we want to say set collision profile name, and then we want to get our in proxy, get dynamic mesh component, get collision profile name, and then we're just going to copy this over. This is incidentally like why I always recommend to people when they're editing levels to use collision profile names and not to customize collision on every single actor, because it makes it that much harder to write automation. Look how easy this is. If you just use profile names, bada bing, I can just copy it over. And I think I can also do a thing which is like, yeah, we'll see. But like we may not need to actually copy over the collision if the source isn't using collision anyway. But yeah. So let's go here. Let's unbake everything. Bada bing. Let's bake everything again. And then this will be the last thing. I just want to check and make sure that like the water, the like generated water surface has the right collision profile name. Bump it up. Oh, and you know what else? I know why. So when we were in the build, I was seeing the waters rendering in the wrong order. That's because I use a feature called the translucency index, which also needs to get copied over. That's what was happening. Anyway, here's our baked water. And if I go to collision profile, just go to collision. Collision presets block all. That's wrong. Pretty sure. Let's see, deco water. What is your collision preset? Oh, your block all too. You just don't. Oh, I see. The deco water has collision type set to default and enable complex collision unchecked. Whereas these. No, I don't want the baked ones. Here, if I just go and look at Deco Island 3. Yeah, these do. Okay, this is very good. This is very good. This is very good. So, when we are applying the collision complexity, we actually need to check if the proxies. Actually, I can do this in C++. That would be better. So when we apply collision complexity, we can say get dynamic mesh component, enable complex collision. If we're enabling complex collision, then we want to set this. And actually, we're just going to say here const auto CTF equals, if we have complex collision, CTF, use complex as simple, otherwise CTF default. Collision trace flag. Why are you unhappy? Yeah, hi buddy. Why is this happy? Cannot initialize a local variable of type collision trace file with unsigned. These aren't unsigned though. Wait. CTF use default. Oh, that's so annoying. So now I can do a quick, I didn't change any header files, so I can do like a live recompile. And while that's going, I'm going to go back into here. The other thing we need to do, similar to the collision profile, is we're going to set the static mesh, we're going to set the collision profile name. We are also, from this dynamic mesh, going to get translucency sort priority. And then for this static mesh, we're going to say set translucency, sort priority, zip zip. Awesome. And then, did our live coding succeed? Our live coding succeeded. So now, let's, one last time, hopefully last time, unbake everything. Boom, we've got everything back. Now we're gonna bake everything. We're gonna let this run. I don't love how slow this is. I'm gonna try and figure out what exactly is slow about this. I think it might be the round trips to Perforce, actually. But I'll profile that later, see if we can get this baking step faster. But let this go. And now, when I look at this, like the deco water baked, first things first, if we go to the static mesh asset and we open it up and we search for collision complexity, we see it's set to project default and it has 0 collision primitives, which means this has no collision at all. Great, that's what we want. And then if I look at translucency sort index, bada bing, it has been set to -1, which is like what the water is normally set to. So now, officially, the collision is fixed, the translucency sort ordering is fixed. I bet because we already built everything, I should be able to package the project really fast. Let's just test and make sure that doing that actually fixed the collision issue that I saw in the build and actually fixed the sort order issue that I saw in the build. And just to demonstrate that like Unreal is really good about like caching intermediate results. So you can see because we rebaked all these meshes, it has to recook those, but everything else should be like all prepped and ready to go. Like this should be a really fast rebuild. Zoop, zoop, zoop. Yeah, look at how fast it's going now. Yeah, see, that's super fast. It was only slow before because I hadn't built in a long time. Let's go File Explorer. Let's pop open Star, Build, Windows, Nightshift Galaxy. Pull it onto this screen. Cool. So now, collision correct. We did not crash into the water. And when I fly down yonder, bada bing, it's sorted correctly. So it is. It still looks kind of sucky that it's like overlapping this thing a little bit. I should fix that, but the sort order is correct. I can exit out of there. Hey, I'm pretty happy. What a productive day this has been. So it's getting to be 4:30. I'm feeling a little bit hoarse, so I'm going to call it for today. But, you know, thanks for hanging out, Catherine. And anybody out on the internet who's watching this later, VOD or on YouTube, I hope it's informative. If you have any questions about anything I did that I didn't talk through appropriately while I was doing it, feel free to reach out on Twitter or Discord or Blue Sky or Mastodon. I'm in all those places. Google, Steam, Nightshift Galaxy, go to our Steam page, wishlist it, wishlist early, wishlist often, tell your friends. And yeah, cool. Thanks for hanging out. Bye.